Alright, y'all. You know, I thought I would add some footage. I don't usually add footage, so I thought I'd jump in. I don't know, I just threw an 86 tier in. I don't know how that's gonna be. We're gonna just test it out. I'm just gonna go in here and pray. I don't usually do 86s. I usually definitely go lower. But I'm gonna go in here with the tornado and just test it out. And I just want to show you guys kind of where I'm at. I never really post videos for the most part. I always, you know, wanted to get more into posting, but, you know, I'm not really a YouTuber, you know, I'm a gamer, so it's a little different. Just gonna skip by some items here. So, you know, I play quite a bit. I've just been focusing on a Druid. I've been 100 since like day one. As soon as the season came out, I immediately went to 100. I've been working, like, I was gonna make just like a bunch of characters, right, and do that, but what I decided to do this time is I decided, you know, maybe I would just stick on one character and work on his builds. You know, maybe make a PvP build, maybe make, you know, different types of Druid builds. And that's where I'm at, right? That's where I'm at. So, yeah, that's what I'm bringing you here today. I thought, you know, I just wanted to show some gameplay, though, because I never show gameplay. Sorry if I'm bad at talking and playing, but, so I'll just show you me doing the Surratt here, and then I'm going to actually show you my gear. I would definitely say that I do a lot of research of other players, what other players are doing, what is best in slot, and then I kind of make my own opinion and go from there, right? There is definitely some things that I am doing differently that I basically have not seen really anyone else do, right? Oh, there's my buddy real quick there. Yeah, so there's definitely some stuff that I'm doing that I just really haven't seen anyone else do. And those are basically the things I kind of just want to, you know, show you what I'm doing differently and explain to you why I'm doing those things. I just kicked that dude. That's my cousin too. Tommy, no. Tommy, everyone was Tommy. Blessings. I didn't know what. Hold on a second. Let me message him here. No, we'll message him in a second. Yeah, I mean, this is an 86. Honestly, too, I'm not out here farming 86s. This is playing quite comfortably. This is one of my recent upgrades of, you know, something I just did. Before, you know, I was probably farming, you know, 60s comfortably. It's speed farming to me, so I don't really go past 60s. I don't really, you know, there's not really a point. But, you know, if you did want to speed farm 100s, you know, you just absolutely, I want to speed farm 100s, da-da-da-da. Oh, she's out. I don't want to make this video too long. Let me go kill her. But yeah, you know, if you did want to speed farm that high content, just do it safely or da-da-da-da or whatever. I don't know, but you know, the whole point is I just want to show what I'm doing differently, right? And I know the common, I know the meta. Oh wow, that was scary. That was scary. So yeah, that's how an 86 would look. You know, I just want to show another thing too. On my map here, I just threw in a randoms. Oh, alright, it's not going to show me the Surratt anymore. This was not the best Surratt though. Normally, if I was looking for, you know, a thing, I wouldn't even have played the Surratt, right? It had vulnerable, decrease, it had those other explosion things. I wouldn't even have played this. But I just did that for an example to throw a random glyph in. I did kind of make sure it was Surratt just to, you know. Anywho, though, I'm going to go to town quickly show you a few things, mention a few things, show you a couple things that I'm doing differently, make a few mentions, and hey, just bounce and reflect that with, you know, your build or whatever the case may be. So, I have a lot of stuff I'm switching around. I don't even know if my gear is correct. So, the first thing that I'm going to go ahead and mention is, this is just random. I don't have this planned or anything. Let's go with the boots, okay? So, first of all here, you can see I'm using chilled, the movement speed. So, I was just running that 86, and I'm not even really, you know, I'm just still using speed farming gear, you know? This is just for movement speed, where, you know, I could put different stuff there to make it if I wanted to push higher, right? Anyways, I want to talk about two things here. The max evade charges and the spirit cost reduction. Okay, so first off is, when I'm looking for a pair of boots, I will not even use a pair of boots unless it has max evade charges. Or at least has to have one, right? It at least has to have one additional. So I won't use the movement speed, and I will not use the reduces. The reason why is because the evade charges they're so good. Being able to move out when you're in a fight, it's just unbeatable. You cannot beat that. It's low-key the best. And you know, on top of that, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't like raced another character, but having those additional evade charges makes you very fast. I wouldn't be surprised if these evade charges actually makes your character move faster than a like 80 movement speed pair of boots. You know what I mean? So this also makes you very fast. So it's very fast and it's very survivable. Now the next thing I want to talk about here, and my boots are terrible. I don't even have damaged and injured on these or anything, or whatever it is. So spirit cost reduction, right? I see a lot of people who want spirit cost reduction. Spirit cost reduction, I would not consider to be good. Spirit cost reduction is bad. And the reason why is because, I was going to talk about this in a minute, but when you have, what is this, dire wolves, right? You get this, what is it, this multiplicative, spirit cost reduction here, right? That's a multiplicative stat, I'm pretty sure. Or is it? I don't know. You know, I don't know about that. The whole point, though, is when this gets knocked here, that's going to take your tornado down to like 10 points, right? The spirit cost reduction here, where it says, for example, for me, 32. Now, when you hit this, when you have it on your amulet, you know, it's going to take your tornado down to 10 spirit cost reduction, okay? And if at that point, or, you know, 11 spirit cost reduction, if that point you then put spirit cost reduction maximum on your boots, spirit cost reduction maximum on your amulet, and you know, you had spirit cost reduction maximum on your offhand, at that point all you're going to be doing is taking that down literally like 1 point. Okay, so all that spirit cost reduction in Grizzly Rage mode is only gonna make your tornado do like one less. And the whole goal is to keep Grizzly Rage up about, you know, 100% of the time. So if you are stacking spirit cost reduction, you're like stacking it to be it's like useless basically, and you know, unless you're outside of Grizzly Rage. So, and which you should never really be outside of Grizzly Rage. Now, since I have showed you my weapon, okay, I don't have the best weapon. I just threw this one on because I was testing Dire Wolf on the weapon, which I've never seen anyone do before. Everyone always has, you know, Dire Wolf on the amulet. They always have Dire Wolf on the amulet religiously. Okay? Well, can I go back in the Queen's Den? I'm going to go back in the Queen's Den. That way I can actually cast. So, when I go into my Grizzly Rage, my spirit cost reduction is 17. Okay? That's not that bad. Like 17, you can still spam tornadoes perfectly fine, and all them tornadoes is more than enough to kill whatever mobs. You guys saw me running through that. You know, I didn't really have any, you know, there was a time or two where I thought, you know, I was getting a little bit low on spirit, and yeah, I had to, you know, kind of make sure I was getting the proper spirit. But when you are going with this on your amulet, it is just overkill. And there is, when you do switch Grizzly Rage off of your amulet, there's some stuff you can do that changes everything. You don't need Grizzly Rage on your amulet. You absolutely don't. And, you know, just on the same topic, let's just go into a bit further this. I have 2 available skill points. Maybe we'll talk about that later. So, next, let's talk about this. Okay, I'm using Beastal Rampage. Now, honestly, I'm just kind of testing this right now. I'm moving it around. Perfect Storm is awesome because, you know, it actually gives you spirit back, right? Oh, and 2, I just want to actually say, too, the reason I have spirit cost reduction, you know, here and here, really has nothing to do with, you know, the fact that I have this on my weapon. Even if I took all that off, I'm still at 21. What, it's 4 extra spirit? I'm not going to feel that. I could easily go and do exactly what I just did in that demonstration without that spirit cost reduction, and I'm never going to even notice it or feel it whatsoever. And that's with, you know, not even using this. Now, I've always used Earthen Might. I've always used Earthen Might and had, you know, but let's actually go ahead and talk about that for a second. So, you know, all this really does is keep your, I mean, so guaranteed crit strikes. I'm critting anyways. My crit chance, I'm basically always critting anyways. I see nothing but yellow numbers. So what am I really using that for? That's actually holding me back, if anything, because I'm basically guaranteed to crit anyways. And other than that, yeah, it keeps, you know, my spirit up. But do I really need to keep my spirit up? In that situation, I could go here, Perfect Storm, keep my spirit up, and also get some, you know, some multiplicative damage against vulnerable, whatever. You know, there's other things you can do here where, you know, I just was testing attack speed here. You saw me going for attack speed and whatnot. Your time to kill on the monsters is going to be important, as well as, you know, how long it takes you to get to the monsters. I don't want to go into that too deeply with the movement speed and to start talking about how movement speed is partial DPS and stuff like that and whatnot. You know, there's so much to say because there is so many routes that you could take, especially once you have put, you know, taken off Grizzly Rage and put this here. You know, I'm testing, you know, what is my, you know, I'm testing a lot of things currently, and I'm not even sure where I'm going to go with my build. I have 20 different builds that I'm bouncing off of, but you know, this has always been on my armor spot, and this Grizzly Rage has always been here. I always kind of knew I never needed it, but you know, I wasn't 100% sure where I wanted to go. But, you know, Disobedience got a hard nerf. But, you know, Disobedience is also still best in slot in terms of survivability and whatnot. So, having this on your amulet is going to be a huge survivability buff. Now, if you didn't... Oh, and 2, you know, another thing, too. When I actually do put this here on my amulet, that opens up another armor slot for me. So that makes it so I have another. See, I was going a little bit lazy. I wasn't using basic. I was using the werewolf. But either way, you gain 15 or the 20% damage reduction on top of this extra damage reduction as well, which just makes you, you know, insanely tanky. And you guys saw the fashion I was killing the elites in there. They were basically getting one-shotted inside of the pull with the heart. You know, these are the hearts I was using, the pull and the, you know, the subsequent damage. The wrathful pull was actually DPSing them down in like one pull burst. And you know, that's also with me using the damage suppression. You know, my whole focus, everyone always wants more DPS, but I've never had a DPS issue. It's more of a survivability issue when you're going into high tiers. So my focus has basically always been lowering my damage, because my damage in there is perfectly fine. Like I can hit and run, and it's just like killing trash mobs. So a little bit more into it. Let me get into the bubble, because there is still some more stuff I wanted to say. So with that on my armor, that also opened up, you know, the damage reduction slot there. There's more stuff you can do. I thought about putting that cyclone armor on here instead, giving it to teammates. I thought that would be a kind of cool thing. That also would give this 10 physical, you know, damage reduction. I think that's what, like 10, just 10 damage reduction. Maybe not quite as good as 10 damage reduction, because damage reduction is going to also be non-physical, but that would just be physical. I'm not going to get too much into that. I'm not gonna, you know, there's already still a lot more I have to say. And anywho, so with this on here, right, that's opening up windows. And two, that whole thing, when you switch this here, and I actually made the decision like, oh, I really don't need Earthen Might, that also opens up another spot where your Earthen Might was at. Right? So, Earthen Might, I mean, I just completely took off Earthen Might because I don't need it switched off there. And I've been thinking about removing more stuff, so to speak. Like, just for example, I think, you know, critical strikes with course, you know, I really like the attack speed. You know, the attack speed's awesome. Attack speed's a big part of survivability because you're healing with your tornadoes. So I think it's a little backwards sometimes, especially when people refer to the boons, right? Sometimes they say, oh, for survivability, I'll go max life, and or, you know, I'll go crit hit damage, or I'll go crit hit chance, or whatever. This attack speed is a DPS factor, but it's something for damage, attack speed, but it's also a really big part of survivability. So the reason I would probably use this attack speed on my spirit boon is actually for survivability partially, and not necessarily DPS. This critical strike damage right here, I'm not 100% sure, but I thought that this was additive. I could be wrong, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that this critical strike damage is additive and not multiplicative. I see a little multiplicative sign next to it there. I'm not sure on that. If you got any information on that, go ahead and let me know. There's some max life builds out. I have a max life build in my stash. There's a bunch of stuff that I'm doing. So yeah, so the other ones I'm using here, I'm using damage reduction from elites. Haven't opted into any of these other ones. I'm using, what is this? Fortify when using a defense. Oh no, that's not what I'm using. It will extend the duration of ultimates. What are my other options here? Okay, and then I'm just using masochistic and the cooldown there. So another thing I've noticed is that I've heard people say like they don't use the, what is this? I forget the name of this. It's like Barber or something like that. So I've heard people say that with the Barber, they don't really like, they're referring to the lucky hit, like how you're going to pocket tornadoes. And yeah, with the Barber, that might be true. But at the same time, like, you're still going to, this is still going to work quite a bit, you know. You're going to see your cooldown basically the exact same as it was before. You haven't really seen. It might be a little bit worse with the healing of it compared to, you know, the healing might be a little bit worse, definitely. Which is why there are points here. The more life that you have is going to, you know, help make that scale more. Real quick, I'm going to go over my skill points because I definitely think that my skill points are done a slight bit different as well. So while I have been testing out this new build with this dire wolf off of my amulet, I have temporarily taken out points out of wild impulse. You know, I think when you put points into there, I don't even think it ends up being a big difference. Like, let me actually go ahead and see. What was I at 17 before? So all that extra is only going to give me 18. So that is really not a big deal at all. That's what is a crazy part of it is, you know, what is that your score 9 more spirit, but that only makes it do 1 more spirit, you know? So that is just crazy. I'm going to take that out of there, though, because I want to leave it where I was at. You can go ahead and, you know, still do that. I mean, there's no reason why you would want to over one spirit. It just, you know, so I don't have any crit chance in here. I don't have any movement speed in here. If I wanted something else, it would probably be the movement speed for speed farming, obviously. Crit chance, so the reason I don't have any points in the crit chance is because I feel like I'm always critting, right? These 2 points, I'm not even sure why they're not assigned. This is just where I left off, so I think there was a point where I had extra points in Cyclone Armor just to get a little bit more non-physical damage reduction, but that's only like, what, 2%, which is also not worth it. Where I would put these 2 points, I really have no idea. What am I doing differently? So a lot of people like to put 3 points in Endless Tempest. I don't really think it's worth it to have this up, you know, an extra, what is our time here, 8 seconds. So let's see, 8 seconds, that's going to make it 9 seconds. I don't want to drop 3 points into this for an extra second of uptime. I don't think that that's worth it. I do think that it's worth it to put 1 point into Endless Exposure to make all of your storm skills have a chance to make people vulnerable. With that being said, Tornado is also over here on vulnerable. But, you know, I actually don't know. You know, I also think maybe it'd be okay to make these slow, especially if you are practicing slower crowd control. I'm a little skeptical. I think maybe you would probably have 100% uptime on vulnerable, even if they were slow here. So if you are stacking some sort of crowd control or slow here, I don't want to get too much into that. I just have it over here to be on the safe side for that. Some of my other extra points, I have them in non-physical resistance. Most of my stuff, even for speed farming, is stacked into defensive because there's really no reason why. First of all, generally the people I know are not speed farming on tier 90, tier 80. Most people are speed farming on 40, 50, 60, maybe 70. So yeah. So for the most part, everything else is going to be normal. Extra points into here for survivability. Oh, and then too, when I get to the end here, I'm kind of just testing this right now. You could go probably here to make this really safe for your generation. Earther Might, I think, is overkill. If you did put Earther Might on and you did have the, you know, make your storm skills, do Earther Might, I don't think you're going to see a very big time to kill difference when you approach that pack and they get pulled. You're going to kill them in about a second or two with or without Earther Might. And in fact, in a second or two, you know, you always have the time on the Barber, you know, that 2.7 seconds, you know, you're going to be between 2 and 4. So regardless if you have Earther Might or not, you should be killing them 2 to 4 seconds regardless. I don't really think, I mean, this is a little bit of extra damage, but if you don't, I don't think you should need the spirit cost reduction when you're sitting at about 17, 18, 20. You know, I have 146 spirit, so I can cast at 20. That would make it so I can cast what, math, 7 spirits or something like that. And then when you hit stuff, you get, you know, your spirit builds as well. So even if you don't have this, you can go with this, and I'm pretty sure your spirit builds, right, just from hitting something. Is that right or no? I'm pretty sure that's right. Well, you're also going to be, you know, storm striking people, so there's never really gonna be any, you know, fury issues. So with your inventory too, if you were to go this increased attack speed, right, if you were to move here, then I'm thinking maybe you might not need core. Like, that's kind of where my train of thought is going. Like, where am I going to go next? What am I going to change next? What am I slightly going to move? So I'm thinking of moving off this and maybe going in a little different direction. Not 100% sure yet. But hey, this video is getting too long. I don't know if I want to end it here or continue. I don't know if I really have too much more important stuff left to say. I'm going to show you my gear real quick, right? Let you actually look at my gear. A lot of this stuff I was just kind of testing stuff. There's some items I have better, like I have this of a quad. This, I mean, the control and parrying reduction I don't use. I have this same thing, but it's got like injured and fortify. Yep, so I'm just gonna go ahead and show that. You know, too, with the movement speed, I am gonna go ahead and actually make another comment, kind of how I spoke about diminishing turns on spirit cost reduction, and how stacking a lot of it when you're in Grizzly Rage is only like a 0.2 off of your total. So your movement speed when you go into Grizzly Rage, when you have it on your amulet, Grizzly Rage, when you have this dire wolf on your amulet, a lot of people I've noticed tend to like movement speed on their amulet, but even without the movement speed on your amulet, you should still be capped at roughly about 200% movement speed once you're in Grizzly Rage. Now, when I go ahead and use it, I only have 148. Okay. Now, I'm not using Ghost Walker, and I'm also not proccing this. So 148, and then when I would hit somebody with this chill, I would be at the almost 190. So the thing that I'm getting at here is that I would not consider spirit cost reduction or movement speed to be a real stat on your amulet, because your movement speed and spirit cost reduction is going to be overcapped when you get there. So I would always go for a stat that doesn't really get capped. Although too, there is some other things with movement speed, how you're not Grizzly Rage 100% of the time. There is some other stuff, if you're using Ghost Walker, there's only like a 7-second or 6-second window you're going to be unstoppable, and for 4 seconds after, 10 seconds, whatever, where that cap movement speed is actually in play, and it will go down over time, which is actually part of why I've gone with chilled here instead of the actual Ghost Walkers and whatnot. I really do love that extra 4 seconds of unstoppable, and I probably would go for that for harder content as well, but for just the straight out movement speed, I feel like this is more constant. And also too, if you're using Cyclone Armor instead of Earthen Bulwark, which would also give you an extra bunch of time up on your movement speed. Yeah, hey, I'm getting too much off base, so I feel like this video is getting a little bit too long. I think I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. I mean, I feel like there's still so much I wanted to talk about that. Maybe if I just think of something, I'll put it in the next video, call the next video 2.0 or something, Thought about removing tornadoes. I thought about removing everything, removing the fortify. I thought about putting the fortify on the amulet. I thought about going 2-hand. I thought about putting Grizzly Rage increased by 5 seconds on a 2-hand, making it 10-hand, going even bigger uptime, losing the cooldown reduction. Do I need the cooldown reduction? Like, I've thought about pretty much everything, and I've tested everything and whatnot. But anyways, I'm gonna end the video here. I'm gonna try to make more videos, even though I'm not a YouTuber. I am a Diablo 4 player, so hey, that's where I'm at. Go ahead, if you want, go ahead, like and subscribe. But yeah, take it easy.